show the movie of Channel 10. We didn't know that it's going to be a reminder, but it was a reminder. That was David the Settler. There was a soldier who shot Palestinian, and it was documented in a video. Someone protected us. Is it possible? Oh, there it is. In the quiet Intifada, as we call it, we show videos where there are attacks of Palestinians on soldiers, but when there is a reaction, there's also punishment. And that was already too much for a few soldiers who saw it. A guy called David, he threatens, or he actually being which was the conflict between the soldiers and the Palestinians, but it's like a digital rebellion. The Facebook, said the chief of staff, is not a commanding tool. Scores of soldiers without uniform came to protest against the spokesman, etc. This reminder is in a very dense, populated area in Judea and Samaria, but now there's a new player called Facebook that in Protective Edge became a real player. And actually, if we take into account in the decision-making process, even the media took part. And I want to tell you, the Operation Brothers Keepers, where the 3 young guys were abducted, it happened at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in all the WhatsApp network. I gave the information, but the public in Israel still hasn't had any official knowledge about the abduction of the 3 guys. There's a wave of rumors all over the country. We are planning to give the message, and it's about 3 in the afternoon on Friday. At 1 o'clock, there was a WhatsApp already announcement that I conveyed that a brilliant operation to rescue the 3 abducted guys was successful. And we're going to show you that happily. And then, in hindsight, when this came to the families and they're all, of course, the emotions of happiness and everything, and of course at 5 o'clock in the evening, we went on the air and told the truth to the public that in the middle of the night we lost contact with the 3 guys, and then we had 76 days both of this operation of Brothers Keepers and then the Protective Edge, and it's a very intensive battle. So I'm trying to describe to you what it looks in the eyes of the IDF in the media in a dense populated area. We keep seeing it all the time. I don't think people understand actually the significance. And any activity of the body that I'm heading has to take into account that if it's really not the security of the state, maybe, we can talk about censorship, and but there's no meaning to leave the information in my hands. I'll tell you another anecdote. There's no reason, there's no significance for me holding anything from an attack or investigation or any operational event, not even for 5 minutes. Why? Not because the media is strong, but the media is there in the field. There are a few military reporters in this hall that when I tell them at 6:30 in the morning, and while the operation is happening, the reporter in the field says already on the phone to everybody, explains what's happening in the field. And unless I take this into account, I'm doing two things. One, I deceive people. I don't give them the information on time, and create euphoria in the media. And finally, they understand that it has to supply the information by itself and not through the IDF. So what did these new players do? WhatsApp and Facebook. First of all, they enhanced the credibility of the military spokesman. Why? Because the moment there are rumors, and I have to issue 3 times a day announcements, so finally the citizens know that if you see something in WhatsApp and it's wrong, then the spokesman will explain exactly what happened a few hours later. So what's the ceiling of all that? The ceiling is announcement about casualties. And here we have an announcement even in 2014. Israel in 2014 once, in spite of the media storm, that any announcement regarding casualties will go in the regular channels, which are slower, first of all to the family of the soldier and then to the media. When we say or announce any casualty, you have to remember that the system, although it's very oiled and many changes, but finally the identification of a fatality of a soldier, it's a whole process, and you have to go it step by step by people in their own timetable. And they will never be able to be in the pace of a reporter who just sent something to the editorial and they publish it. But you have to understand that our experience, in spite of these new players with the media, is that the media knows that casualties 2014 is a holy cow, and you cannot slaughter it despite the new players. And I think it's an honor to the Israeli society, in spite of the fact that the neighbors can tell you all sorts of rumors. And although in the coffee shop sometimes, and it happened, people are sitting, some of the family members of the same soldier or casualty, still the order is such that the parents and the close family of the slain soldier knows first. And actually this is perhaps the only limit on the one hand, and on the other hand we have the censorship and the security, but in the middle everything is free and easy. Everything is yours. The media, the public. Maybe here and there there's some events that still take place, and you shouldn't bother the public or to talk about things that we don't understand. But apart from casualties in real issues of security, this is the lesson. Everything is yours. The second lesson, everybody talks about the strength of the society in Israel because of its conduct when there are rockets flying. And having said that, and it's true, there's another thing here. The society in Israel, in my mind, or the experience that we had in the Brothers Keepers operation, knows how to cope, how to grapple with bad news, as long that they would be 100% true, not rumors, not to frighten people, and not to give all sorts of commentaries that have nothing to do with reality, but to explain the event as it is. In 3 minutes, I'd like to tell you the soldier Oron Shaul, the way it looks from my office. The armored tank exploded in the middle of the night. We understood that there were few casualties there. We told the families that your son is missing, that there's an identification process, and it is taking place right now. After about 48 hours, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Tuesday, I got a message that there's a problem in identifying one of the bodies. I asked the chief rabbi, military rabbi, what's happening, and he explained that there's a problem, and he described, I don't want to say it here, but he described what there is. but there's a problem with the identification of one of the bodies. At that day, I asked to put on the evening news the whole story, to tell everything. I know that the people from the Hamas are listening. I know that the Israelis are listening, and the Hamas are listening, and I'm not sure that they understand that they've got something in hand. But I know that I have information that there's no point in holding. It has to be conveyed immediately to the public. And I said, actually, 4 things. I said that we have nothing in our hands except the truth, and I'm going to tell you everything. I said that, in my estimate, anybody who was close to the explosion place couldn't survive. No way. I said that the identification process is continuing for a few days now. And I also said that everything that has to do with this process is a private thing between the IDF and the family. So that you don't have to come and ask me every 2 hours what's happening or what's doing. Because first of all, the order of priorities is the family, and everything that has to be said, we're going to say to them. So what was the basis of that? It was very definite that the society in Israel really came to a conclusion after Gilad Shalit. Is he abducted or is he killed? If he's abducted, then there's a course of action. The media and the feelings of the public. If he's a casualty, if he was killed, it's a different order of priorities that the society knows. I cannot say, every soldier is willed in its entirety, but this is something that the society hears me, that this is how it is in wartime. There are casualties. You've got some successful operations, but you have people killed and injured, and some were missing. We don't know where they are. Missing in action. And this is something that you can understand, that is difficult, but you can cope with. And we were holding this event of this soldier, Oron Shaul, in such a way that every time that we had some new info coming in, the family got it. The moment that the military chief rabbi ended his determination, we came to the media. We went on the air. So when you look in hindsight, and you find that there's, first of all, the lessons that we learned from the 3 abducted youth. People ask me, why didn't we say a priori? Why didn't we prepare the public, etc., etc.? Every day I had to cope with this question, and there was not one in the investigation who sat and saw the material and could say in full decisive determination that the 3 abducted boys are not alive, in spite of the disc and also the commentaries, and not in order to give hope to the family, but to tell the truth. So you're sitting with people who are sitting on the intelligence material, and you ask them the question, can I say now to the public something else? So maybe we could have said a few days before, maybe to take reservation and to say that as time passes or the days pass, of course we were worried regarding their lives. And that's how we got to Protective Edge. Now, as for the population and the international media, etc., one of the things that shouldn't happen is that people will be surprised, meaning the combatants, from the presence of the cameras. In 2014, it cannot happen. I think it's a question of relevancy. Anybody who still is surprised by a movie or media does not live in reality. We cannot be surprised. You can dispute, you can say whether we should publish there, but you cannot be surprised that we'll go into it as if we are in the 90s with the new cameras. We cannot be surprised. But after we're not surprised, then we also have to take into account to honor the opponent. We say, give us the movies or the clips, and we want to learn from them. I think the army should use it. I think that if there are things that the opponent, your enemy, filmed, then we have to do it. If there are things that were done there because of a wrong conduct of our forces, it's not a question of a legal investigation 3 months after the event. This is something you have to deal with on that same day. And it doesn't have to do only with Judea and Samaria or the static reality in Judea and Samaria. It also has to do with events that are under fire, operations, and it doesn't jeopardize their fighting. They say, some people say, if we start dealing with them videos, then the cameras, soldiers will be afraid. No, we will prevent people from making the same mistakes twice. They shouldn't have done it in the first place. So this is the first lesson. The second lesson, we find it difficult to implement. We still haven't found the way to be as quick as the international media. In certain events or incidents that compel a very deep investigation, we are required to give answers. Why was there a shooting from a school in Gaza, you or them? And even if I'm 100% sure it was them who shot, there's no meaning to what I say unless I have proof. I'm talking about media time. I am perceived as one. Of course I'm going to say it's them. So what did I do? There are no news here. And it's obvious I'm going to say that fighting is difficult, and it's obvious I'll say that the Hamas is using schools and hospitals, etc., to shoot from there. Nothing new as far as my position goes. Here and now, online, I have to convince, and unless I can, then I cannot, and then I don't convince. It's not a question of investigating in another 3 months. If I want to convey the message, I have to convince online, and not always, or in many cases, we do not have, some of the clips or the movies, we don't have proof in real time. And when I say we don't have evidence in real time, then I know what it means as far as the Israeli Hasbara and information and in the international media, because when we hit 3 children in Rafah, in Gaza Strip, and we say that we think it was Hamas who shot, then we killed 3 kids, 3 children. There's no meaning that we think or we estimate. From a media point of view, there's no meaning to that. And the last thing is the operational documentation, and what are we doing with all this info? In March, last March, we caught Claude VC vessel in the Red Sea. In some of the models that we did before the operation, I found myself climbing on all sorts of vessels just to see if it's possible to transfer visual info online from the vessel. And the moment I saw the movie that I got from the army in Tel Aviv, I said to the spokesman, we don't have any arguments whatsoever in the future for the fact that we don't have pictures, because if we manage to take a picture from 1,500 kilometers in the middle of the sea, we cannot say that we cannot bring pictures from Gaza, from Hebron, from the Golan Heights. This moment, that's it. We don't have any more arguments. On the one hand, it was good, and on the other, some of the people are sitting here and are not happy with this thing, because it's as if we, through the 530 clips that we transferred to the media, and they were shot by the IDF, were given to the media in protective edge. And maybe some people, maybe justifiably so, they say, just a minute, the media should do that. This is not you, the army. What are you, crossing borders here? This is already like a government. You're going to introduce the media, and the media should bring what it should. But the operational documentation that you're so proud of, you leave other people to do. The daily activity, you do things that are regular, but we are saying that today we have 28 military reporters today. It's a bit different than the 70s. And we can put the media into the battlefield in a dosage. Because we talk about those, so there's always be arguments. I'll always say that it's enough, and the media will say it's not enough. They want more. We are summarizing Protective Edge, and I'll conclude by this, with quite a few lessons that we learned, things that we have to do differently in the military spokesman office. It has to do with the home front in the State of Israel, because we understand that this is part that's becoming very significant, with a lot of pictures, a lot of photographs, a lot of clips, videos from the front, because at the end of the day, disconnect between many factors in the Israeli society. It's either soldiers, regular troops, or in reserves. Every home in the home front, they want to see what's happening in the battlefield. We don't have time for Q&As? No. I thank you.